I'm Matt Braunger. This might help.
I am not a doctor.
This might help.
I'm not a professional.
Let's have fun. This honestly is a good time.
Honestly, I got no idea what I'm doing. What's going on, Corey?
I'm Matt Braunger. This might help. The podcast. Hey, welcome to This Might Help with Matt Braunger, the only advice podcast that really doesn't care that much about the advice. Like we do, but it's for fun. So again, I say this almost every time, and if I don't say it every time, that's on me. But the show used to be called Advice from a Dipshit, so there you go. If you need actual clinical help, get it. I get it. I go to a therapist every couple weeks, or Zoom with him as the times demand. But, this is for fun. So if it helps, great. But you have to understand how we say the name of the show. This might help. I don't know. Will this make the party more fun? This acid? It might. I don't know. It's kind of like that. I have a hilarious comic on, a dude that I've been a fan of for a long time. He's been around a little while. I won't say I don't want to offend him and be like, he's been around a long time, like an idiot or anything. But Pete Lee is here. Super funny comic. How are you, Pete?
Dude, wonderful. I'm also a big fan of yours. So this is so cool. I feel like we have every mutual friend in the world. We've played every single comedy club 1 week before or after each other. And then now we finally get to meet in the pandemic over Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think maybe we've shared like 2 words or something. I don't even know. Maybe we were like at JFL at the same time or something.
Yeah, I think I've just said, hey man, love your stuff. I think I've done like a real quick, hey Bronger. And but yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been at a comedy club urinal where your poster is right in front of me.
And vice versa. That is always prime real estate for people that are at a show and they're peeing and they're like, oh, Pete Lee's coming next week.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, we should come next week. Yeah, like that's.
So it's a really weird connection that I feel to you through urinal stall advertising.
It's a brotherhood. It's a fraternal order. It
is a fraternal order. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. By the way, you and I have something in common. So you've lost weight and you've kept it off for a long time, right? And
I'd say, that's probably fair.
Yeah, I lost weight, then I gained it back in the pandemic, then now I've lost it again. Like, what did you do now I'm interviewing you. What did you do to lose the weight?
That's fine. We can always, this is not, I always cite like one of my least favorite experiences at the beginning of the podcast phenomenon, where remember every comedy club, they just had like, Jimmy, you work the door, do a podcast for us. And like this guy did it, and he just every question was like, so were you always wanting to be funny? And you're like, oh, what are we doing, man? Like, really? So it's like we can do anything we want, man.
All right.
Anything we want. So actually I did gain weight during the pandemic because my wife was pregnant, and I was just like, we're in this love together. You want ice cream every day? I want ice cream every day. Let's do it. Yeah. And I definitely I had a great moment yesterday because I had I'm taping a special next year, and I had these 2 shirts made because you do 2 tapings.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to pick them up middle of the pandemic and a little tight. And they're like, do you want to have these let out? And I'm not wearing fucking skin tight, maniac shirt or anything like that. But like, I was like, oh fuck. And then I just tried them on again and they fit great again. Oh. So it's like, I went up, and I'm pretty much kind of similar to you in terms of the pandemic. So I did exercise, but it was like, there was a point where my wife can only do so much. And I basically just was like, yeah, I'm with you. Let's fucking veg.
Yeah. When there's food, like delicious food around too, like if she's craving delicious food, you have to be like a Buddhist monk to resist that temptation. I'm now single, but my ex, who I'm good friends with, like when her and I first got together, it was like, I love you, let's eat. Like we just and she would order like food from that place called the Pie Hole that was like, she'd order like 4 different pies and be like, let's just taste all of them. And I'm like, that means that you're going to taste all of them and I'm going to eat the rest of all of them because I can't resist. I was watching that show last night, like I won't eat after a certain time. That's my thing. And I was watching that show Physical on Apple TV with Rose Byrne and
Oh
Rory
yeah.
Scovel. Rory Scovel is really great in that, by the way. So is
Oh,
Rose Byrne.
awesome.
But like she's a food addict, so she keeps like going and eating this delicious food. And it was
Yeah.
like 11:51 p.m. and I was like, oh, I want to go get Taco Bell right now. Oh, I want to break my fast. Like, oh
That is such. I will say, I remember. You look back on time, things you did when you were younger that you can't ever do again, but you're like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I
yeah,
did it when I had that young metabolism and a young, strong heart. But like, I remember going to like this 24-hour supermarket and just buying shit food at like 11 p.m., not drunk, and then going home and just eating it and being
yeah,
like, and like the thought of that now was like, no, you'll die. You'll die
yeah.
in your sleep if
You're
you
gonna,
eat.
because you hear about guys that are like in their 30s, 40s that just have heart attacks and stuff. And I don't want to be that guy. And
No,
so I'm trying, and like diet is essential to that. I still
yeah,
probably drink a little more whiskey than I should, but at least diet is corrected.
yeah,
I did something the other night. So like I'll allow myself like 2 squares of like a Hershey bar, right?
nice,
And like literally like just a sweet bite and then I'm good. And
great.
so I went into the fridge and and like I said, my ex just moved out. She got her own place, but there's still a lot of stuff in the house of hers, right?
Right.
Including she had in the butter, the little butter garage door.
Yeah, as it's known.
Yeah, there were some chocolates in there, and I was like, "Oh, good. I can just have 2 squares of these." And then about 45 minutes later, my face started to tingle and stuff started to get weird, and I was like, "Oh, dude."
Oh no.
So I texted her and I was like, "Hey, I know we're trying not to reach out too much right now, but the chocolates in the butter garage door, are those special chocolates?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, and they're really strong." So I was like, just like unwittingly tripping balls. I was I was just tripping so hard, and I've also never really tripped before. Like I've just microdosed or
Oh
maybe whatever.
fuck.
And so I was just blown away. And then I took it like I just took an Ambien and then I went to sleep and I had the craziest dreams.
Okay.
And then yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean, well, uh, first off, you gotta say that story on stage
oh
because
yeah.
I mean, it's the I love when you're like there's a setup there and whatever's coming next is ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
It's like Bill Burr's bit about the dude who took one helicopter lesson to jump out of the helicopter, and they're up, in, what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
and they go up in the sky, and the guy's like steering it. The instructor's like, okay, so off to the left, San Andreas Mountains. Put your seatbelt on, sir. You know what's gonna happen. so it's like the fact that you took it and your face is tingling. I just love that it was like all you wanted was your daily treat.
I just
Like,
wanted a little
I'm being
treat.
good. I just want my 2 little squares. Like
Yeah.
you took 2 squares. That's incredible. That discipline is incredible. But it's like I don't think I'm that good all the time. But I do need that where it's like I need something sweet.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's small. I mean, I used to take I'll just have a spoonful of maple syrup.
Mhm.
Done. Had my dessert.
Good.
I just had a taste. I had a taste of something tasty, something sweet. But it's like you had all you wanted was your little bit of sugar hit, and then just like, oh fuck, like your face stretched out like 8 feet and went down through a tunnel, and
Yeah,
your
like
body's still in a chair.
like reality started to go like concave, like "Wah," and then it would snap back, and I was like, "Oh, okay," which is crazy because like two squares, just like you said, that's like, wow, this guy has a lot of self control. But if you
Yeah.
had a friend that ate 2 squares at a party, you'd be like, "You're a maniac! like, like you are
What are
insane!"
you doing? It's that guy that already has liquid courage. Like rule number 1: never take psychedelics when you're already drunk.
Uh
So
huh.
he's already had like a couple strong cocktails, and he's forgotten.
Yeah.
He's like, it's fine. I haven't had anything, and he swallows it, and then he remembers. Then he killed
Yeah.
half a handle bottle on the way over, and like, oh
Oh,
no,
yeah, and I the parrot that I showed you when we first got on the Zoom.
yes,
Her name's Alex, and she learns she learns words in whatever voice they're taught to her in.
Oh.
And so every single morning she wants me to open up her curtain so that she can look out at the hill with the palm tree behind my house.
Oh, cool.
But so in my voice she goes, hi, hello, hello, hi, hi, hello, hi, hi.
Whoa.
And so I woke up at the sun came up, I think it was like at like 6:15 that next morning. So I'm still sort of tripping because I like slept it off. And I wake up on mushrooms to my voice going, hi, hello, hi, hi, hello, hi, hi. And I was like, this is too much. This is way too much. And then when
And there's your button. That's the end. That's the end
that's
of
the
the show.
button. That's the button. But yeah, so it was a wild, unexpected Tuesday night trip.
Fuck
Or
me.
actually, no, that was Monday night. That wasn't last night. That was Monday night that
Oh
happened.
my God. I love that just happened.
It
Jesus
just happened.
Christ.
Yeah. Pete Lee, edgy, extreme guy.
You just got new crazy shit.
New
You
crazy
you
shit.
you've been on, we've established we've both been on the road a long time, a good
Mhm.
amount of time. Not enough to get jaded and shitty and be mean to younger comics or anything, but just like, you still you always struck me as still like a guy who's grateful, which I always try to be, where I'm just like, I still remember when I was a waiter and I was like, I have to do the Monday lunch shift and I'm going to make $30 and it costs $4 to get there on the bus. Like, what is this? This is stupid. What is this life? So it's like, I always think of that and go, all right, even if it's going to be, a late show and everyone's hammered or whatever, but I was thinking about this today. I want to ask you, like, let's talk morning radio, which it's not always terrible. I mean, a lot, like I feel, because my barometer is so low, I get pleasantly surprised almost every time. Mostly because almost all of it got wiped out. And since iHeartRadio took it all over, they're just like, what can we cut? Oh, interviews with comedians? We won't make any money off that. That's a favor to them? No. So it's only shows like Bob and Tom that still have comics on and stuff because they have leverage.
Yeah.
But I remember, I'll tell you a quick one and then you tell me one. One, just like an experience where you're like, come on. My thing has always been like, if you go to my Wikipedia, and I need to change it, but it's like, it has a list of all the impressions I did when I was on Mad TV. And I was on Mad TV for one season. And the last season. And I was one of two white males. So I had a lot of pop culture ground to cover. So if the guy was tall, I would do him. Charlie Sheen. I look nothing like him. Great. John Mayer. Great. Braunger. Like, what? I was like 30 pounds heavier. Like, no. Like fat John Mayer. So it's a list. And this guy, I guess he must have, you're the guy who's supposed to go get you ready and prepped. He's like, all right, so he has a list. He's like, these are all the impressions we want you to do on the air. And I'm like, I don't do any impressions, man. And he's like, no, yeah, you're on Mad TV. I was like, yeah, but I just kind of did my best. I would watch, they'd tell me the sketch and I'd watch this dude for like a couple days, of tape and then fucking shoot from the hip. I'm not terrible, but, I'm not Rich Little or something.
Yeah.
Or Dana Carvey. And he got furious. And we're walking in to the guy. And next up we have funny man Matt Braunger. You'll see him all weekend. And, I hear the guy in the next room, and this guy's like, no, he's stopping me, like, you have to do him. And I'm like, no, man, I just don't. I'll explain it. We'll have a big laugh. It's no big deal. And this dude is like, as if it's like I'm embarrassing him. And he finally, well, Wikipedia says, and I'm like, anyone can write anything on that thing, man. As if that's like a court document. Here it is. You were arrested, convicted, like that. And it ended up being the DJ thought it was the funniest thing in the world. It was so much better than if I got on there and did impressions and stuff. And we fucking vibed and gave away some tickets and stuff. So it was great. But it was the weirdest thing having this dude stop me on the way in, as if I'm like, as if I was like, no, I thought I would just show him my balls. I thought I'd just take my balls out. I just got a new tattoo. I think he'll think it's great. Like something that nobody wants. It was just like,
That's so funny because there always is that like intern or producer at the radio station that has been there for either 12 years or 2 weeks. Like there's no in between. That person has either had the longest tenure there or they have no idea what's going on. And usually, like the radio DJs, that's kind of the guy that's, their whipping boy. And so that guy probably like did like maybe the day before a guest came in and he didn't give them the proper research on them. And then so like everything was riding on this. I bet that's why he was like so intense about like, I researched
totally.
him. I gave these guys lead-ins about like Charlie Sheen and John Mayer, and this guy was gonna, oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That, I don't know if you ever like you've been to Appleton, Wisconsin to the Skyline.
Oh yeah. Love that club.
Love that club. And Cliff was great, who owned it. The new family that owns it, that owns Tacoma Comedy Club, they're amazing.
Totally.
But they're back in the days when Cliff owned it, there was this radio DJ couple, and I don't know if you ever had to go on with them, but it was like Dale and Diane in the morning or something like that. But they were
maybe.
Yeah, they were like married to each other. They're not anymore. And like in the midst of like the start of their separation, they still had to be on the air. And so you would walk in the studio and like the door would open like, and it'd be like, I don't know, Diane. I don't know. Does it matter right now, Diane? Yes, it matters, Dale. It definitely matters. It matters to me. And that's why that's why we're separating. And I'm like, oh boy. Okay. And it's the smallest studio in the world, like a broom closet kind of a studio. And because they're not a huge station, in the Green Bay, Appleton, Fox Valley area.
Sure.
And so you're just in this, like you can just feel the aura of how much they hate each other in this thing. And then they're bickering with each other and like not even acknowledging me. And then it's like, and we're back. We have Pete Lee on the line. And Dale and Diane are like, ha, 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 ha. Everything I say, ha, 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 ha. All right, we're going to go to commercial. And then it's like Katy Perry's like, baby, you're a firework. And then they're like, now just quit stepping on me while I'm talking, Dale. And I was like, this is the worst. This is the worst thing ever. And I'm also... I love that your podcast is called This Might Help, because like I'm a helper and I always want to help. And I remember just standing there breathing their hate air going, I can't help with any of this right now.
No, I will always be that person who's like, let me just diffuse this. You know what I mean? Like, not that I feel this fucking need to be a savior. That's not it at all. I just recognize the fact, like, the more you try to help out, the more it'll be better for all of us, including me. It's a selfish thing for me to help somebody else. That's how I see it,
Because it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good, but it just helps the fucking atmosphere if everyone's not all tense and angry at each other, But like, there are those times where you're just like, band, that's, I guess you gotta just change dealers. I'm walking out.
Change dealers. And I have another story about that just relates to TV shows. So you were on Mad TV. I was on Best Week Ever on VH1. The second version of it, like the Saved by the Bell, the college years of VH1's Best Week Ever. So it was the version of it that nobody watched. And we had this producer named Carla, who is really awesome. She's still a good friend of mine. But she would be like, she would come in and she'd be like, hey, Pete, I need you to play John Mayer's penis. And I'd be like, what? I don't know. I wrote for the show and I was on the show. And so like, we'd write this amazing sketch about whatever. And then it would get cut because John Mayer, he said that quote in Playboy about how his penis prefers white women. And then everybody was like, John Mayer's penis is racist. And so the next thing I know, I'm in a green screen studio in a bachelorette party dick costume, like an inflatable penis costume, being like, hey, I'm John Mayer's penis, and like reading off a teleprompter. Fast forward, several years to, it was actually like 2 years ago. I'm having dinner with Nikki Glazer at the Comedy Cellar, and then John Mayer walks in, and she's friends with him, and he sits down, and the whole time we're talking, like we're just like really having a great time with each other. And he was like, dude, you look familiar to me. And I was like, well, I'm a comic, I've been around. And then finally he was like, no, what is it? I was like, I played your penis on VH1 for like a whole season, and it was your racist penis, and I'm so sorry. And he's like, that's what it is. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I remember seeing that and feeling really hurt by it, because he's like, I'm obviously not racist.
Yeah.
He's like, my penis is not racist. And he's like, I remember just seeing that going like, this is so ridiculous. Like, he's like, I think I hated you for a while. And I was like, as a fan, that means the world to me.
Yeah.
that you knew me enough to hate me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not that guy. It was the producer's idea. I just was trying to get a paycheck, and I'm so sorry. And
Dude. When I played him, I mean, the song, I did versions of his songs. I had to go sing them, and they're like a note or two off. They wouldn't get sued. And every song is about a different actual woman, famous woman that he had sex with. Like, so I'm not only being shitty him. I'm mentioning women's names.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's a fucking job, man. I'm not. I mean, to be fair, anytime I went on like Chelsea Lately, it would be like, here's the topics, and it's like Lindsay Lohan had an overdose, and it's like I would never go in. I would never go, what's wrong with this person? It's like when they caught Bruno Mars with like cocaine or something, cocaine, and that was it. Like, no booze, no weed. I'm like, you're fucking up the order, man. It's booze, weed, coke's way down the list, man. You're going too fast, man. Like kind of just being like, hey, buddy, rather than being like, look at this shithead. Because it's just like, I don't want to judge, but that you're like a filmmaker that made a movie, and you're like, I want an emotional response. Love me or hate me. That's all it's art. But it's cool that you guys had that moment, man, that you had like that interaction. And not to be this show is not for diagnosis or anything, but a couple years ago he was in an interview, and he was just like, he's like, I like marijuana. He's like, I think I'm done with alcohol, because I don't really know like how much is enough and things like that. And then you go, oh wait, because he said some wild shit in interviews, stuff that you're just like, using the N-word, and like, his penis is racist, and just obviously he was just trying to be funny, and like, saying like all kinds of shit, and you're like, oh, were you like drinking a lot? And in these interviews, because we've all been under the influence of booze, which makes you do the dumbest shit always. Yeah. And because you're way too comfortable, and you think everyone's your friend. It's like, oh, okay. That was just booze.
It was just the booze. I mean, booze makes you a liar. Like you just tell dumb lies when you're drunk. Like, like, I mean, think about all the men that are at a bar that they'll just be like, yeah, I'm single. And it's like, dude, you're not single at all, Brad. Like, you're like the whiskey is like, you're single.
It's and just the age old classic is talking to the hot cocktail server. He's like, my wife doesn't understand me. No, man. She understands you really well, Harry. Like, really well. She knows you on a cellular level. And that's what fucks with you. You just want another woman to fool, because you weren't yourself when you married her, and then the real you came out, and she was like, damn it, I married you. You suck. That's what happened. Like, a way worse lie.
Yeah, you're right. That woman knows him so well. Like, she knows what he's up to. She's actually bored by like the stuff that he thinks that he's hiding from her. She's bored by it.
It's like, I feel like the stuff, if I was to hide shit from my wife, it would be like hiding Christmas gifts from my 15-year-old kid if I had one. You're like, this kid knows what they're getting. They found it, rewrapped it better than me. I didn't notice. It's still exactly where I left it. I think it's going to be a surprise. Nope. This kid knows what they're getting. They found my secret stash of presents that Santa is bringing.
Oh, by the way, what's on your T-shirt? Is that a cloud?
Renee asked me about this too. It's a guy with his head in the clouds trying to look at his watch. It's like this. My wife got it for me. It's this I'm gonna screw it up, but it's this British company that does these like limited edition T-shirts, and she liked that thing, and she just got it for me. So,
That's so rad.
that's kind of neat.
That's a great, like, you could almost get that as a tattoo and it'd be something that people would go, that is so cool.
Yeah, I feel like a drunk business person would be like in a bar and see it on your arm and be like, "Fuck, that's my life, man." I work in marketing and I hate it. And
It's funny that you said, when you say that, I remember I was in Spokane, Washington. This was right before the shutdown, and it was just like a bar full of like douchey like businessmen that just got done with like a golf day. And I was thinking about that Chainsmokers song where they're like now she's looking pretty in the hotel bar, like they're coming, it's the couple that's coming back together, and they're in this hotel bar and it's all romantic, and all I could picture was like them having this romantic drunk moment next to like these asshole businessmen that just got done with a golf trip. Like hotel bars are never romantic. They're just filled with trash.
Oh yeah. If I'm on the road, it's like, let me just go anywhere else. If I want to go have like a quiet drink, I'll find something far away from the hotel and the venue, and just have my little one or two and walk home. But like, that is just the worst when you're in the hotel and just some bunch of those guys are just like, I mean, what do you think? No, look, because we're talking to. No, please don't draw me in to your tractor beam of toxic masculinity.
Oh, that's so funny. What do you think? That never is followed by like a really deep intellectual question that you're like, oh, finally I get to field something like this. It's always.
When did you think you reached a level of emotional development where you felt you understood your mistakes, but you were able to forgive yourself within reason? When was that for you? You'd be like, wait, what the fuck did you just say? Are you serious? You guys are all right.
It's always a conversation that if a stranger even heard you being a part of their conversation, you'd be canceled. Like in our culture, it's just like
you're just listening.
You're like, I can't even respond to this.
What's the perfect size for boobs? Oh man, why? Why are you asking me this question, dude? You're a terrible human being.
Yeah. Women in the workforce, right? No, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, right.
I know I've said this on the podcast, but like I collect in my mind, not to say obviously, but like other comedians' openers. I love them. Someone can come on stage and just get you, And Kyle had one in Chicago. Kyle Kinane had one in Chicago where he'd jump on stage and just yell, "Women drivers! Last I checked, cars don't make supper. Off the road, ladies." So stupid. But just, he would yell it with such disdain that it's just like the dumbest, like, what?
Oh, that's so funny.
It's like one of those ones I will just say it out loud because he's just.
Just a beautiful non sequitur where you're like, of course, well, because like it's most comics get up on stage, you're like, I hope they're gonna like me, and like I hope this opening line goes well, and that's just like a complete disregard for like I don't care at all if it, like I don't care at all what my opening line is. I'm just gonna go out. I'm gonna charge hard into women drivers.
I appreciate the fucking both barrels of idiocy of that, and like. The other one I've said a lot is Bert. First time I saw Bert Kreischer ran out on stage and went and it was a beautiful audience. It was like a Dane Cook show when I first went to LA, and it's all beautiful people and a lot of pretty women. And he comes out on stage and it's like just like, oh, I just took a shit so messy I had to wipe my legs. How are you guys? And everyone's like, oh, but they're laughing. They're laughing and they don't want to be laughing. You can see very proper people going like, man, but he got him. And it was just like, oh, wait, it's just like gambling the hard eight and it hits. It was so good. That's
so funny. Man, I would have loved to have been around Hollywood in that era of Dane Cook. Cause like, I met him in New York in that area. Like I remember he was headlining. He was playing Madison Square Garden, and then he was popping by all the comedy clubs early in the week to like run his set. And I remember I met him, and he's the coolest guy in the universe at that time, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey Pete, hey, this is my friend Pete," and he goes, "Dane," and I go, "Dan," and he's like, "No, Dane," and I was like, Dane, okay, Dane, not Dan, okay. Like I was just trying to be a comic that was just like playing a game or fucking with him a little bit, and he looked at me like I did not appreciate that game whatsoever.
Oh
and
yeah.
and since then, like now living in LA for 3 years, I've spent a lot of time around him, and he's a really sweet guy. I like him a lot.
Well,
But
and it's like I feel like he's a nice dude. I feel like it's. I remember being around a bunch of comics that were all working, and they were all talking about jobs they'd just gotten. Like I'm in this sitcom. I just sold this, and we're in a circle, and it was like I just moved to LA, and I was like, yeah, Colin Farrell dropped out, so I got the lead in Alexander too. So, and I deadpanned it so hard they were like, oh, all right. It was just like it was such a fuck you from them, but it was like, yeah, at the same time, I kind of did mess the flow up with my dumb joke and but I don't give a shit. Fuck them. But it was
yeah,
like I get why I got that reaction. I was just trying to be kind of a smart ass because part of me was like, doesn't this feel surreal that you guys are all talking about your sweet, sweet gigs you have coming up, like matter of factly? And I just feel like uh, even now, if I'm talking to comic buddies of mine and we're like, one of us is like, oh fuck, I got this. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's like that's
yeah.
cool. Like we're still kind of kids about it, not kind of like yeah. So that's probably getting a second season, which is yeah, it's nice, and like
Yeah, it's a paycheck. It's yeah, I feel like that group of people not having like any realization of what it felt like to not be in that position
yeah,
that's really the hilarious game of the whole thing. And the fact that like you started that game in the circle, and they should have played along with it. Like
uh-huh.
that would have been really funny. It also sounds like if they're a bunch of guys that are in the circle talking about all their accomplishments, it's like a fragile ego circuit
Oh,
or
exactly.
circle. So like you literally just like called out their fragile egos, and they
Maybe.
probably couldn't handle it. But
Maybe a little bit. One of my favorite all time just anything showbiz memories was my wife's a manager, and that's how we met. She like discovered me, and we ended up having sex, and she was with someone. So we basically had like an on again, off again kind of affair that ended up being a good thing, and we don't work together anymore, and we're married. So she repped a guy who was on Saturday Night Live at the time, and I went
Mhm.
with her, and I was just in New York doing shows, and the Anchorman guys were there. They were promoting Anchorman 2, and they were going to do a bit where it's all of them and they're talking to One Direction, and they're like, we're the new One Direction. That was like the bit. And David Keckner and I know each other from Chicago. So David sees me in the hallway and he's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, who's this? Macking on my wife, like joking. And we just go, he's like, come in my dressing room. Don't, none of that green room bullshit. Come in my room and, hang out with the guys. And he's like, you know Will? And I'm like, I've never met Will. And he's like, hey man. And I met Will Ferrell, and we're all like in a circle, and people start talking around us. And I was like, so what are you guys going to do? And he's like, oh, it's the thing with One Direction. And by the way, he's dressed in full rotten burgundy regalia.
Uh-huh.
And he told me the bit. And I was like, and I started going, and I did like the same thing I did with those guys, but it was like, well, there's that one member of One Direction that not the most attractive. And he's like, Darren, like makes a name up. And I'm like, yeah, and Will's like the asthma. He's the asthma. He can't do the dance moves. His voice isn't. He's like he doesn't have a strong voice. And we just yes anded each other about this guy that they love him. He's in the group, but they don't let him do the numbers and they don't let him sing much.
Oh,
But
that's
he's
so
official. But he comes to all the shows and he's very overweight. And it's like like this is one guy in One Direction that like the and like we're talking about like and the producers hate him, and the all their managers hate him, and like this one guy that everyone who's making money off One Direction is like, you have to fire Darren. He's not in the group, and they're like, nope, he's in the group, Mike. Like we'll not fire him. And it was like and no one heard us but just me and him, and it was like that's why he's the coolest guy, because he just
that's
played a game with a stranger,
yeah, and
in a
that
dressing room.
And Will Ferrell did that because he loves comedy, and he was like, "Oh, this guy knows
Yeah.
how to play. This guy knows how to play games, and he's gonna riff
Yeah.
with me." I told this story on a different podcast earlier this week. Sorry, I'm cheating on you with another podcast, but
Please, it's fine. I understand.
yeah, Kevin Nealon, he plays this game for the last 3 years that I've been in LA, and I met him at a show that I was on the Improv. We really got along, hung out in the bar. But ever since he saw me like one show later, he'll do this thing where if I'm sitting down, like that little booth in the Improv where the comics can sit in, where your knees don't really even fit into the table. If you're sitting there, Kevin Nealon will just walk up and stand in front of me and watch the show. And then maybe
like 6'6" Kevin Nealon,
6'6", huge man. And then he'll turn around and go, oh my, I'm so sorry. I was standing in front of you. I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry. And this has been a game that he's been, and I'm like, no problem. It was not a problem at all. I'm like, my part is always like, no, it's just, I could see the show, but then I got to listen to it, and that felt a little better. So you did me a favor, because I got to use all my senses. And and then like later on that week, I was at the Comedy Store, and I'm standing in the back of the main room, or on like the side of the main room. He just comes and stands right in front of me, and he just does it anywhere that we're at. Like within the pandemic, we were doing that Magic Castle show, and I'm standing right there to go on stage, and he just stands right in front of me, so I can't even see the back of the stage. And it's just it's fun. Like it's really fun when you get
so stupid, and it's such a great connection.
It's a huge compliment to get to riff with legends, and that's like the best part of this business is getting to be friends with your idols and then getting to joke around with them.
Yeah, having little inside jokes. A guy I know was on a movie with Billy Bob Thornton, and he'd say to the director, like, he's taking all my best lines, this asshole. Like, and my friend was like, oh my God. He's making fun of me, and like, we'll start the calls, but I want to real quick. I have a version of the Nealon bit that like, I miss, Jeff Scott at the Comedy Store, the piano player who passed away during the pandemic, sadly.
He was the best.
Incredible man, older guy, very funny, flaming gay, great piano player. And he almost every time I played the Comedy Store, which is about once a week, I would come in, I'd check in, I'm here, they're like, all right, you're on in 2 people or whatever. And Jeff is like, someone's on stage, because Jeff would, for people listening, he would play you on and play you off. He would run over to me, drink in hand, and be like, oh, good to see you. You're not going up tonight, right? Almost every time. Just cut you off at the knees. Just like kill your confidence in the funniest fucking way. Just like, no, but I wouldn't do tonight. I don't think you're like this, kind of like, I don't think you're up to it kind of thing, like without saying those words. And then we just laugh and walk away. And it was like, it always made me just like, the fact that I will never get that again, it really makes me sad. He was such a great dude.
That's so beautiful, because we've all had those times where like a friend set us up with a guest set at a comedy club, and you're kind of new there, and you walk in, and then the manager's like, yeah, I don't have you on the list. And you're like, but I have 6 friends here that bought tickets, and I can't not go up. And so, also the Comedy Store is one of those places that's so legendary that every single time you walk in there, I feel like I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I don't like, and then when you're killing on stage, you're like, I should be here.
Yeah. But, it's always that when you have a hot set, that's always the best drive home. You're just like, oh, sailing takes me away. You're just like, oh, it's like the best feeling. Okay, so just we have 3 calls for you.
Okay.
And me, we have 3 calls, you and me. So I never listen to him. That's how the show rocks. Renee listens to him. He chooses, he cherry picks us ones. So don't know. We might have got 3 calls, or we might have got 30. I don't know. But like, I don't listen to him. So
perfect.
Ready for the first call?
I'm definitely ready for this. I can't wait to hear if I recognize the voices because I put it up
Right.
on my Instagram and I feel like a lot of my friends and like I feel like I don't have any fans. I have friends because I just make friends with all of them.
That's pretty sweet.
So
It's a pretty great gig.
we'll play
All right,
a voice recognition game.
let's check it out. Here we go.
Hey, Matt, this is Michelle from Morro Bay, California. I was just wondering, is it wrong to give cards to my friends that say get better soon when they're not really sick? I just want them to do better at work. Let me know, dude. Appreciate it. Love you. You're hilarious. Have a great day.
Oh my God.
That was great. The timing on that was perfect.
Jesus Christ.
If I would have had to leave a voicemail like that, I would have had to record it 8 times. That's how funny and her timing was for that. That was great.
This person drives a big rig and is hot on the CB radio or something, or is it a DJ, or it was like boom, boom, one take, we're in, we're out. What was her name from Morro Bay?
It was Michelle from Michelle. Here's just by her brassy voice. I think that Michelle either is or was a fan of the cigarette. I feel like Michelle is that lady at the bar that has the mustache tattooed on her finger so she can do this, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. I think Michelle is an attractive party mom, and I mean that not an alcoholic, but just like has a good time within reason, and God, that's a funny bit.
That's a funny bit.
Someone a get well soon, like you're not doing well at work. All right, you're not doing well. You're not. So you need to get well. You need to get up to snuff, or you're getting fired
soon.
Soon.
There's even an inferred time frame or a stated time frame. Soon. It needs to be soon, man, because you are not well.
This is a business, and you're fucking up. We don't have time for this. Okay, you need to.
I just love
doing
like
well.
all of us have something physically wrong with us. Like there's a saying that like all of us every single time one of us leaves the house, there's one thing that we're hoping nobody sees, but everybody sees it. So if somebody handed me a get well soon card, I'd be like, oh God, they know. They know about my double chin. They know about this right here. I need to get well.
Wait. Yeah, or you've forgotten about your own mental illness. You're just like, this is like the worst version of Memento ever. Did I forget? I was like, yeah, you don't remember? You're not supposed to leave the house legally, man. You crashed the car, and thank Christ no one was killed. You were not drinking, but you've been deemed to have the mental facilities of a child. So you stay in the house.
Yeah, my worst fear would be someone recognizing or somebody being at a party and then somebody recognizing my mental illness, like somebody just walking up to me and going, hey, everybody, you think you're hiding it, but everybody can see your anxiety. All right, take care. I would cry right there at the party. Just wait, what? I thought I was hiding it so well today. No.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would cry, but then I would go out the back of the house and pick up like a skillet and go around the front and wait for that guy until he came out. I'm just like, you're not walking around after saying that to my face. You say that behind my back. God damn it.
Let's give you some fight or flight, Roger. I don't know why his name's Roger.
That's what I always like felt, when you do like a late night set and you're happy with it, and then the next day there's comments on your Facebook or anything, but it's like, you suck, man, or whatever it was. There's always, I feel like that was mostly in the days of MySpace when the anonymous poster. But I had a guy go after me like so hard. He was like an older guy who grew up worshiping the Night Show, and he hated my set, even though I did great. And like I just spent like 20 minutes looking at his family pictures. He's like a grandfather, looked like a nice guy, like all his grandkids. Is like, how'd I ever get so lucky? Shit like that. He's just like, whoa, swing and a miss. All baseball metaphors. You were up at bases loaded, home, this is your time. You lost the World Series. Like, dude, like so cruel. And I'm just like, why would you share that? Just have that feeling. Why would you share that with someone? Did you have a lot of whiskeys?
Yeah. Yeah,
Up late?
is this like an Ambien post? Why would anybody just share poison like that?
Oh,
Yeah, it's I had this lady that it was really funny. It was on Facebook after I think it was the second Tonight Show that I did, and she was like, "This guy mumbles every single word that he says," and then somebody else that knew her was like, "You can't hear shit." Like because I like went through the clip several times being like, am I mumbling a lot while I
that's
talk?
so funny.
And then yeah, it was like her daughter or her niece or somebody that knew her was like,
Oh,
you can't hear shit. Like, don't criticize the
God.
comedian. But I spent at least a half an hour reviewing my
Of course.
diction.
Of course. Of course. So anyway, Michelle, yes, I'm gonna say that's okay. What do you think?
I'm one of the most polite people on the planet, and I think that that's okay just because it's hilarious.
It's
And
funny.
yeah, my view on things is like you can be mean if as long as whatever you're doing or saying is funnier than it is mean, and I think that's
That's it.
funnier than it is mean.
That's the key. That's the key. All right, let's roll the second call.
Hey, Matt Braunger, it's me. I guess you don't know me, and I probably shouldn't say my name, but I know
No.
you love to drink, you know, after listening to a bunch of your specials and people you've talked to on your podcast about it.
Sure.
It's been great. All I have to say is I drink a lot also, and I want you to let me know if what I drink is excessive. So I buy a 30-pack of beer quite regularly because I do drink beer every day, at least 5 or 6 beers a night. Last Saturday, I think I had 15 beers, just Coors Light, you know, it's nothing fancy. It's Coors Light. As somebody in a YouTube comment once said, it's a Yankee beer. You can't beat, yeah, never mind.
Okay.
So yeah, just 15 on a Saturday night seems like a lot, but it's not compared to my friend who had a 30-pack in one night. That's honest God truth. But yeah, we just love beer. My family, it's in my family, you know. Maybe I'm Irish in my ancestry. I don't know about my past. But anyway, 6, 7 beers a night. It's probably a lot. But, you know, I have a house and a mortgage and I go to work every day and I'm responsible and I take care of myself. I live alone and I do what I got to do, you know, trying to keep the lawn green. It's 105 degrees outside. So I feel like I'm pretty busy. Anyway, I don't know. I know you like beer. I'm sorry this isn't too brief, but thank you. And
Okay. Yeah.
Just hang up.
But
You could tell that like his chin hit the red dot on the iPhone,
like,
and he was like,
"Oh,
hey,
fuck."
all right, that conversation's
Whatever.
done.
He doesn't even know if it recorded. That was his 7th beer. Yeah, dude, that's too much. I don't want to judge, but I would cut it in half if you can. Space it out. You know, I feel like you're kind of living to drink rather than drinking to live. I've drank more than a lot of people, and I still do, but not like I used to. I still have my nights where I kind of go a little bit crazy, but the thing I've learned is it's just like if you first off try integrate regular exercise into your life. That's what I always say. That's what helped me because it made me sweat out the toxins more and realize, oh, I'm just drinking toxins. Okay,
Mhm.
I should probably limit that a little bit. I'll feel better. And you know, you kind of just if you're kind of it's really fun in your 20s to kind of and chase the dragon in the college years and stuff and just fucking go and pass out and then wake up and you know do it again the next weekend. But it's just like the older you get, the more you do it, the harder it is to break out of that, and then you have a problem. So you know, I'm not saying you do. That's only up to you to say. But it's by the numbers, yeah. Even though it's Coors Light, that's still a large amount, and a large amount of even though it's light beer calories. So I think you cut that in half, you're gonna have a lot better time, man. You know,
Yeah.
that's my diagnosis. What do you think, dude?
I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I say be a man,
Double it.
switch to whiskey and cocaine. Like have you heard of Johnny Cash? like like you just need to go with more hardcore substances and
burn out and just stop.
just really burn out and stop. I honestly, like, I used to be a big beer drinker. I still, I had 2 beers yesterday after I went surfing with my neighbor. But beers are really like I could actually see how you could have 15 beers in a night, because like I can drink a crazy amount of whiskey at this point, to the point where I'm totally still sober and I've just been sipping on it. So now when I drink a beer, it's like having a Sprite. So do you want to keep drinking Sprite, buddy? You got to switch to whiskey like a man. No, I don't know. I mean, like when I say this, like I've been going through a breakup, so I've been drinking way more than I normally would. And by the way, I used to work in advertising. I worked for Michelob, and they actually had a term for this guy. They call this type of a guy a volume drinker. A guy that drinks for volume, because he wants to get buzzed. He also likes to keep a beer in his hand. He socially sips. He might even like nervously sip, not to call it nervous, but like, hey, this is kind of what I do. It's kind of like a cigarette. It gives you something to do with your hands.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I do agree with you that he probably should cut back. I have a couple friends, who have had cirrhosis of the liver from drinking way too much. And if I can give him like a motivational factor that I think that he could dial into emotionally, being someone who loves to drink, and I know that he loves to drink and you love to drink, you want to be able to drink when you're in your 60s, man. So if you keep blowing it out like this, you're gonna have to be the guy at the wedding that's like, oh, I wish I could have a drink, but I can't. And so
I can't join in the champagne toast.
Yes, you can't join the champagne toast. So you gotta figure out a way to dial it back now so that you can have fun in the future with it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, the last thing I'll say is like, look, man, maybe you want to be alone. Maybe that's your thing. But I think there's more to life, and it might be okay to kind of have a little bit more of I don't know, a connection with someone that could lead to something romantic. Because I mean, fuck it, man, it is better. I think if you do to at least experience that, to have somebody that you're with and building with, and it's like, I mean, I know you're single again, but I feel like you've been with a couple people. You've probably been in a couple solid relationships, and it's kind of like, and it's like, I'm not going to say that one's necessarily. I just said better, but I just say, speaking for myself, it is. I was alone a long time, and my wife is the first person I've lived with that I was romantically attached to, which is insane. But it just, everything kind of fell into place that way. But caller, you didn't mention if you were with anyone, but I just got the vibe you were single. And
yeah, he said that he lives alone in his house, and I mean, I totally get that. I now live alone in a house, and I've had a couple nights where I pour myself a tumbler of whiskey and I watch television, but otherwise I'm drinking with neighbors. But yeah, when you're drinking alone like that, it doesn't necessarily feel that great. The one thing that I will caution him is, because he is a volume drinker, if he does want to dial back, like, you actually do have to kind of taper back, so like, if you had 7 beers today or yesterday, have 6 beers today, and then 5 beers the next day, and then get it down to 2 or 3, because you're going to get the shakes, man, and you're going to, there's actually like potential, like, serious health things that can happen if you quit cold turkey when you're at that high of a volume alcohol wise. So
yeah, I think
it back.
Have physical withdrawal. It's sad, but there was a guy who I knew when we were little kids, and I didn't know him growing up, but I had very close friends who were still close with him, and evidently he would drink about a case of beer a night. And his mom finally got him to go to the doctor. The doctor was like, "Holy shit, you're gonna kill yourself." And he didn't. He didn't taper. And he stopped, and he had a seizure so bad that I think it killed him.
Yeah.
So, not that this will happen to this caller, 15 on a Saturday and 6 a night. That's different than drinking 24 beers a day. which is what this guy was drinking. But yeah, I think that's good advice on tapering. Yeah, that's what I didn't mean go from 7 beers to 2 or even 3. Like get a kind of
Yeah, taper down and make sure your town has Uber. That's another
yeah.
This guy definitely should not be driving if that's his
No.
his nightly thing. But again, not judging you, just giving you advice from a place of a dude that's been there, man.
Yeah,
I get it.
I think he called the right episode.
You really did. You really did.
Couple of porch dad types.
Yeah, we really are.
Here's how you solve that. Okay, so hope that helps, man. And call back. Let us know how it's going. All right. Last call. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Roll it.
Hey, Matt. So my question is, I am facing possibly losing my job, and that's just going to kind of fuck up everything in my life, trying to get married, trying to buy a house. How do I maintain composure when I do eventually get told, hey, sorry, we got to let you go, and not letting that affect me then trying to find a new job. Love the podcast. Hope you all having a good day. Thanks. Bye.
Oh man,
Oh.
that's a tough one. I had a job in advertising that I didn't even get let go from the job, but when I went in to talk to my boss about giving my notice, I felt so emotional about it that I cried. I cried in my boss's office, and I think especially as a guy, we're really taught to shove down our emotions and not show people how we're feeling. And so I think that's the real fear of that moment, right? Is like, not like, will I go nuts and tip over his desk? The fear is like, am I going to cry in my boss's office? And my thing is, I would say just like let yourself do whatever you're going to do in that moment. Aside from like seeing it happening that day and taking a medication like propranolol that will shut down your emotions.
Wow,
Like I would just know that it sucks. It sucks to be let go from a job. It sucks to go from one chapter of your life to another one. It really sucks to feel like you're letting down your life and having that uncertainty in your future. So I would say, man, dude, in that moment, if the big boss and the brass at your company are going to fire you and do something that shitty to you, make them watch you cry. or at least have that in the back of your head that like, all right, you're going to go through something too in this meeting.
Sure. And in the grand scheme, I mean, I think people think of your a trajectory has got to be from here to here. It's not. It's a series of peaks and valleys all the time. You're going to have high points. You're going to have low points. You getting fired now, no matter what your age is not a failure. It's a transition. You're going to be doing something else at some point, and you're not there yet. So just deal with this. No matter what happens, just deal with it. And yeah, if you get emotional feeling that, Hemingway said it. Ernest Hemingway said it. When it hurts enough, you cry. He was like, I was wounded in the Spanish War, and I didn't cry. But every time I got a rejection for a writing submission, I cried like a baby. It's like, it's just pain makes you cry. And emotional pain, I feel like generally speaking, hurts men very badly because we were never taught to deal with ours. Yeah, we're taught that, you gotta be a strong man and have a great job or you're worthless. And that's bullshit. So this is just a transitory period and that's it. Whatever happens, you just gotta steer on through. It's gonna hurt, but that's okay.
And also there's kind of never been a better time to lose your job in history, ego wise, because like everything that happens now, even in June of 2021, you can just go, yeah, man, COVID. Like I just went through a breakup, and like normally you'd have to explain like, well, it was this and it was that. I'd be like, dude, COVID was hard on us, man. It was like really hard, and people will accept that thing. So, and the other thing that I'll say is this person who you're either engaged to now or you hope to be engaged to, this is going to be one of those moments where you kind of test her mettle a little bit. And
Yeah.
if she is truly the one, then she is going to weather this storm with you, and you're going to see how she reacts. So I would say be totally honest with her, be vulnerable with her,
Mm-hmm.
and just see how she reacts. Because so many guys, we talk to our buddies or our dad and we're like, oh my God, she's amazing, man. And it's like, is she really amazing, or are you projecting that onto her because she blew you last night? You know, like
Yeah.
let's find out how amazing she is. Let's
Yeah.
find out if you should have kids with her and you should be in the foxhole with her
Yeah.
throughout life. Like consider this an opportunity that you can find all that stuff out.
Yeah.
And you know, and you're gonna get another job. And also, like, I know that you probably can't go blow money right now, but like take this time to like
Yeah.
have a little bit of a vacation, you know, a little bit of an emotional rumspringer for yourself where you can retool, because you're gonna have another job and you're gonna
Yeah.
be working your ass off again soon. So like just kind of take it for what it is.
One thing I love doing on the road that I feel so grateful that we have our days typically, you know, with the exception of our favorite thing, morning radio, um, is the fact that we can go to a quirky part of town, find a great coffee shop, get a great cup of coffee and like a donut. It's like, call her, do that. Take a whole morning to yourself. If your lady's free, take her. And you're like, wow, I'm really glad I don't have a fucking job right now. You know, like have that'll cost you like $7. You know, maybe you don't do it every day. Maybe you typically just drink coffee at home and you make your own breakfast, save money, but like splurge. Have a cheap, delicious breakfast somewhere and just enjoy the morning. It's amazing. You know, do little things for yourself to make yourself, you know, feel better. I mean, when I was a waiter and someone quit or got fired and had to go work somewhere else, we'd go, "Congrats, you graduated." Like no job is like that fantastic that like you were the guy who was going to cure cancer and they fired you. You know, it's like there's going to be something better or at least different to give you some perspective. So
yeah.
you know,
And you also never want to be the guy that didn't get fired, right? Like I've been at companies before where there were a ton of layoffs, and then I was the guy that didn't get laid off, and then I got to do all those people's jobs, and then I'm basically just sitting on the half-wrecked ship waiting for the next round to happen. It's terrible. So like if you do get laid off, you know, you get unemployment, you get all that kind of stuff. Just know that it's better than being back at that sinking ship.
yes, correct. So,
And when it comes to your fiance or girlfriend, I want to give you one more piece of advice. Like men find all sorts of things attractive about women, and we know what they are. But the one thing that women feel attracted to in men is purpose. Like does he have a purpose? Is he fulfilling his purpose? And that your purpose isn't necessarily your job. Like your purpose could be like helping people, or you know, building stuff or doing whatever. So when it comes to this woman in your life, if you're like, man, I don't think she's going to be attracted to me because I don't have a job, think about what your purpose in life is and do those things while you're unemployed. Like if your purpose in life is to build stuff, literally go build a flower planter box outside of your house one afternoon, and she's going to be like, dude, he just like, she's going to be so turned on by you, even though you don't have income. It's like a weird thing.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Play to your strengths, man, whatever they might be. So hope that helps. Dude, this was awesome.
This was so awesome. I'm so happy that we're friends now. I can't wait now that we're coming out of COVID to hang out with you in person.
Exactly.
This is
at the store again, man, and the improv. Do you have anything you want to plug before we go?
Yeah, my special Tall, Dark, and Pleasant comes out on Showtime July 9th. Please subscribe to Showtime. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. I don't care. Like, just tell somebody random on the street if you're walking past them. Be like, hey, Pete Lee, Tall, Dark, and Pleasant, July 9th. Just check it out. Also my Instagram and my TikTok, I'm not Pete Lee on it. I'm at Pete Lee. So it's my name 3 times in a row. And go on there and stuff, but please watch my special. I'm begging you.
Awesome. And I'm begging you too, mighties. That's what we call the people that listen to the podcast.
The mighties.
The mighties. So check out Pete Lee's special, Tall, Dark, and Pleasant. So, dude, thank you so much. This was a fucking joy.
Dude, thank you. You're awesome, man. I'm glad to be friends with you now. We're friends, by the way. I'm just letting you know we are official friends.
We're friends now. No question. No question. Oh, holy crap. That was a blast. Love Pete. If you want to ask for advice, leave a message at 323-763-0228. 323-763-0228. Thanks a lot. This Might Help with Matt Braunger was created and hosted by me, Matt Braunger. Produced by Outer Circle Media. Executive producers Matt Kleinschmidt and Robert Kelly for the Laugh Button Podcasts.